This is Sneaker Gearz. My name is Levi, and welcome to another episode of a Personal Gearz take. Now, Happy New Year's 2020 to you guys. If you haven't seen a video in the last week, it's because I've had the flu since essentially January 2nd. So I've had a whole sequence of videos of best shoes of the year that I haven't been able to get into. But today's Personal Gearz, I really wanted to jump into really the personal preference take and shoe reviews and analysis and why it's bothering me. So hopefully you guys get your feedback, get in some thoughts, and give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Alright, so if you're new to the channel, thank you for tuning in. Really would love your feedback. And essentially, there's 8 different topics I wanted to do for shoes of the year. So I don't know if I wanted to do 8 separate videos. I have a top 3 for each category. So I can definitely just do like a 30-minute special and put everything in there, or break it down. But I really love to hear your thoughts as we go forward. Now, one of those categories is my personal preference. What shoes I appreciate and work for my body type and playing style that I have really loved. And I know that's one of the biggest questions you guys ask me. Hey, Levi, what is your favorite shoe? And I have my favorites, but at the same time, I'm always hesitant to give it just because a shoe that works for me doesn't necessarily mean it'll work for you. My body type, my playing style, the courts I play on, the style of which you play. Do you play 32? Do you play full court? Do you do a lot of one-on-ones? All that gives you a different experience, and a different shoe can perform well or not. So I have a real problem with a lot of people giving their personal opinions on stuff without breaking it down. And again, I shouldn't be so negative. I don't want to barrage anybody from giving their personal preference on something, but when I do a shoe review, I try to do it on analytics and comparisons so you guys have a better idea. So as an athlete, you can pick the best gear possible to perform your best. And I just want to give you guys an anecdotal story here. I met a guy who is probably 6'4", a little overweight, but he plays ball all the time. He's a little older, and he just has a great game. He can shoot a 3, has a post-up game. He doesn't run the courts much, so he's not going on a fast break, but he played in Kobe 9 highs for a while. I think he had 2 different colorways, and once those finally wore out, that was a shoe that had a ton of support. That was a shoe as a high. I don't know if that was a preference thing, and we'll learn that later here. And it had a really balanced cushion setup where you had some court feel, you felt quick, but it absorbed the impact really well. Overall, an amazing shoe. Well, a couple years later here, he ends up getting one of the Hyperdunk models, a high version, and I don't want to get into which one, but I asked him, like, hey, how do you like your Hyperdunks? And just making conversation, just baller, and a guy who loves sneakers myself, and he's like, man, I hate them. Here's the problem. Any one of you guys, if you ask your friend, if you ask an athlete, you message him, hey, how do you like those shoes? I hate it. Oh man, that shoe must be bad. No, I broke it down. Well, hey, why do you not like those shoes? Because I knew those shoes. I knew the cushion was good. I knew the traction was good. I knew the support was solid. And he tells me he's had surgeries on his foot before. I don't know if it was on his ankle, but whatever have you. And it just rubbed his ankle, rubbed his foot the wrong way, or just really irritated him. And I told him, like, man, why don't you return it and maybe get the low tops? And obviously because of his surgeries and because maybe some of the injuries in the past, he just wasn't consciously comfortable playing at low tops. And that's something that's psychological. A lot of you guys who want to play in heavy shoes or light shoes or low tops or high tops, it's a psychological factor, and that's not to dismiss it. Sometimes if you psychologically feel faster, if you feel like this is more supportive, you're going to play better. So that has an effect. So I don't discredit that. If a player has a personal preference and it's psychological based, hey, I have to wear a heavy shoe, I feel safer on court, and you play harder because of it, that's fine. Doesn't matter if a heavier shoe is worse, it may be better for you. And again, that is a personal preference, but there's a psychological factor backing that. So he didn't want to play in lows, and he felt like he couldn't return those. So quick tidbit, guys, if you are ever looking to buy a shoe and there's a possibility you might return it, try to buy it from the factory. If you get it from Nike, from Under Armour. I'm not too sure about Adidas. I know they're a little sketchy on that, but both Under Armour and Adidas are going to give you the ability to return them. And even Eastbay has a really good return policy where if it doesn't fit you or doesn't work, they'll take it back. If you go to Foot Locker or Champs or Finish Line or any local place and buy it, once you wear it, that's it, it's yours. So unless you know you've played in the shoe and that's the one you're keeping, just keep that in mind when you're buying. All right, back to this guy. So finding that out, that he didn't like them because of the fit and not anything to do with the shoe, where he liked the cushion, he liked the traction, everything else about the shoe was amazing. But if you were to just ask him, how was that shoe? I hated it. You would have never been able to dive deeper and find out. So that's why I always say that the fit is the most important thing of a shoe. Now, you can't say traction is the most important thing, because at least with the fit, you can modify that a little bit by changing your socks, double socking, changing the insole, relacing it different. The traction is kind of the traction. How you play and the court that you play on, you can't really change much. So between fit and traction, those are the number one things on a shoe. But going back to personal preference, there's other problems I have when people play in a shoe and they love it and you don't know their context. A lot of guys, and another thing I have a problem with, is have a personal affection for a player or a brand. And I'm from Chicago. This is the home of Jordan, all right? And there's guys that only play in Jordans, people that only play in Kobe's and LeBron's, in Curry's, where you're a fan of the player and that's all you want to play in, and that kind of skews your opinion on how that shoe plays. And it's not really till years later, till a lot of these guys can't admit, yeah, that really wasn't a great version of that shoe. Or, you know, you can go back and you can say, hey, the Curry 4, when it came out, everyone's like, oh, the cushion's fine, it's okay. And now people look back and they're like, oh no, the Curry 4 cushion was god awful. And when I said it when it came out, I was kind of had a lot of pushback and a lot of animosity. Well, you're too big for the shoe and you don't know what the difference is. And that's why I try to do everything by comparison. If I say a traction is bad on a shoe, or the traction is not up to par, it's not because that shoe failed me on one specific court. One, I try to play on multiple different courts. Two, I try to play in different shoes of the same model. So if we're talking about, and I'll bring it up now, the LeBron 17. LeBron 17 compared to LeBron 16, the 15, the 14, the traction is not as good. That doesn't make it bad traction, just by comparison. And $200. How is that traction compared to other shoes that are in that price range at $180 when you're talking about your Kobe 5 Pro Show, your Jordan 34, other shoes that are in that $200 price bracket? The traction doesn't really compare. That doesn't mean it doesn't work well for you, and it doesn't make it a bad traction, but by comparison, it does. So same thing when we're talking about cushion. Someone might say this cushion is perfect for me, but if you've had knee injuries, all of a sudden you need a lot more cushion. That may be too much cushion for you. So a lot of these personal preference, a lot of these reviews out there, they just bother me because they're not given the proper context or breakdown on how they work for each player and how it's going to work by comparison. So my goal in this channel, obviously, throughout the last few years, and especially even more going forward, is to really break down shoes analytically to see what is the best shoe for you for each athlete. And there's certain truths about a shoe that are just always going to work. If you have a shoe that has a knit or woven upper, generally it's going to be able to fit more foot shapes. But your foot shape, your playing style, all of us are individuals are very unique, just like fingerprints. And that's one of the things I love about basketball, just the different people you can meet on court, the different kind of playing styles, just having fun. One of the stories I wanted to give you guys was I met a guy who played in a shoe that I thought the traction was horrible. And I'm like, man, how do you play in those? He said, oh, they're fine. And I ends up playing with him, and he just jogs up and down the court. He's not like Russell Westbrook. He's not sprinting back and forth. He waited on the wing for his shots. He wasn't driving. He wasn't doing anything crazy. And there's nothing wrong with that. He wasn't a bad player. It doesn't make him a great player either. So we all have different needs, all different preferences. And when you review a shoe, if you're watching reviews, look for that breakdown, how it affects you. Learn your foot shape, learn your playing style. That's only going to help you. There's shoes that I really enjoyed playing 32 in. And in a game of 32, if you guys are not familiar with, it's in a half-court setting. If you play one-on-one essentially with a group of guys, and if you make the shot, you get the ball back and you keep going. You can play by twos or threes, but essentially it's a slower pace. That same shoe, when they said, hey, let's play full court, I could not play full court in. And that shoe, to give you guys an example, was the Adidas Next Level. I really enjoyed playing that shoe in 32. I thought it was fantastic. But as soon as we played full court, just running up and down the court really hurt my knees, my feet. Now, two things I learned from that. One, how much cushion I need if I'm fully running. And two, okay, I need to get in better shape. I need to improve my running form so I'm not getting so much shock up my body. And that was a personal reference, but when you learn your body type, your foot shape, your running style, what you need for your gear, it's gonna make you that much better of an athlete. Guys, girls, I know that was a lot of information. We will have actual performance reviews coming out. There's so many shoes I have that I've been meaning to put out, and I just haven't been healthy. So I really appreciate you guys who have put in the comments saying, hey, Levi, we're waiting for your reviews. We're looking for the next review. Thank you guys. It really does mean a lot. Anyone who said that I have helped you in any way, guys, girls, that's why I do it. If I'm able to help you guys, that means a lot. It goes a long way, and I really appreciate you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Put your comments down below what videos you want to see as far as best shoes of 2019, shoes that are coming out, and what content you want me to put together, as I do listen and I take it into account, and it matters a lot. So as always, this is Levi with Sneaker Gearz. Really appreciate you, and I'll see you later.